Bourbon Barkeep, my name's Curtis. If you're new here and you haven't experienced these fancy lights, House Call Wednesday. Yeah, baby. This is the part of the channel to where I can make myself look like a moron, or I can make myself look like I relatively belong. So what we do here, we do blind battles. I got a little randomizer, tells me some blind samples to pull out, slap them together, put them in my mouth separately so I can taste both, score them, and see where we land. That's about what happens. Like, subscribe, and I think that's about it, right? Yeah, should be fine. Glass A, on the nose. Oh, that's dark. Wow, it's like a white grape and prune, maybe a date, maybe all three. This nose is delightful. A little spiced cranberry in there, a little honey. Some rye spices kind of coming out, I guess hence the spiced cranberry. Some plum, tickles the nostrils. Is that ethanol or is that just happiness? There's like just a dried cherry or dried old grape, like that's behind a cupboard somewhere. Excited for this one? Let's get on the palate and see. Wow. Wow, that is oily. Man, he used that as a lotion. Dear Father. That like prune, date. Yeah, that keeps going. Like that a lot. Warming of the chest. Hangs around the tongue forever. A lot of this like Luxardo cherry, probably just the juice. Just throw the fruit to the side and drink the juice. That's definitely in there. Like a dark brown sugar. There's your sweetness. A little vanilla starting to kind of come through there. It evolves, sits on the tongue forever, and has a nice proof point to it. I really like that. That's nice. Oh yeah, I guess I need to do a sip 2, see if more comes out. Sip 1 can be a liar sometimes. Sip 1 was not a liar. I would even argue the nose looked at you in the face and said, "This is what I am." And she was straight as an arrow. And you don't get that too often. I mean, this is kind of same nose all the way through the finish. I mean, I could sit there and a little bit of clove and things like that, but ultimately it's that date, prune, Luxardo cherry juice. I'll go clove. Honey, little cinnamon, definitely a cranberry in there. Really enjoy that. I think the experience that's in your mouth in terms of that nice kind of spiced cranberry and how viscous and oily this thing is, that's something to behold. Good for you. Good for you, Glass A. That is a thick mother. Not gonna say it. Not gonna say it. Nope. Glass B, on the nose. I don't know if Glass A is so just Kool-Aid man extroverted to where he's just busting down people's walls. This one's a little more coy. Some grape. Wait. Wow, that did not help. Glass A is so fragrant. I feel like I could diffuse that just into the air. Wow. All right. We're still swirling. It's just, there's something good that wants to come out. I just kind of feel it, but it's heavy brown sugar, maybe like a nice praline in there. I feel like date and grape are starting to come out, but usually like, and for whatever reason, my nose gets like grape, but it's more like the bubblicious on the Buffalo Trace. No, this one's too dry. It's too rich, which feels like Buffalo Trace is getting astray. This one has just kind of like a richness to it that I'm intrigued by. Let's get her on the palate, see what happens. Cheers. Yeah, it is good. Let's not have that go down. There's a really nice sweetness. This actually goes sweeter than what Glass A is. Hangs around a nice bit. A little more cinnamon on the tongue, maybe like a candied cinnamon, but it's really not hot at all. The hug has something to be desired. Yeah, I don't feel any warmth. What did we get? We got some, I'm gonna stick with kind of this like fig. Well, fig's a good one. As soon as it pops in, you're like, that's what it tastes like. A lot of fig in there, a lot of date. That Luxardo cherry, I think, is still kind of here as well. What else? What's the sweetness? It's like I would say vanilla extract. Like I think maybe that's kind of that richness that's coming through. The experience of Glass A in terms of that oiliness could be an effing meal. This one, like, is it trying to like punch up because of what Glass A was? I think that's the hard part of some of these battles. But this one's thinner. If I would have had Glass A, or this one first, Glass B, because of the Bs, would I have the same experience? Probably not, but it's the game. Sip 2. Sip 2 was better. A little more came out. I still have a little more to be desired in terms of the mouthfeel and the hug. I won't go Kentucky hug, but the hug. A little more tobacco kind of came out on Sip 2. Same idea as the other ones. I mean, you still have this like really rich, like fig, date, all the darkness, if you will, coming through. But overall, that experience of Glass A is, I don't know how you get something that thick without just adding like maple syrup to it, but my God, where do we go from here? I gotta revisit. Now, Glass B has the leg up, if you will. Gotta see what Glass A has to answer. And then we do a little census score. We do a bang for the buck. And then we usually not smoothly sign off. And then somewhere in there, you're like, I feel so bad for this guy. Let's go on ahead and subscribe and then like, so you at least know when this travesty sometimes comes out. So you're welcome. Revisit. It wasn't really fair. Yeah, Glass A, I mean, it's just, there's a fullness and richness to it that I'm really here for. That white grape juice is heavy on the nose and then immediately goes to this dark oil slick in your mouth, and you're really here for it. That being said, I do think it's finished. I'm not a big finished whiskey fan, to where it has a place. Like I think there's this wrestling match in my mind for the scoring, to where I'm like, okay, if I really wanted this tasting profile of like this nice cranberry and date and all this other stuff that we've said and talked about, is there a, yeah. And I feel like it's actually really done extremely well. You know, so you're comparing against traditional stuff in your mind. So I think that's kind of the wrestling match that I'm going through. But anyways, Glass B, the thinness, the tasting notes are really nice. There's just more to be desired in terms of the viscosity. And it could be just this matchup. Absolutely could be that. So will it pop up again? Hopefully. Maybe there's a redemption tour for Glass B. You never know. So here's where we get into some of the scoring. If you're new here, let's walk through it real quick. We got some categories that helps guide Noah and I. If this is your first time, there is another gentleman not in my mind. He's on Fridays. The scoring system guides us to, hey, is this the good stuff? Pleasurable, not for me, and so on. And then we do a bang for the buck. Then I reveal the prices to myself, Then we go through the charade again, if you will, and then we do the bottle reveal. Then we put labels on these bottles and see, is WhiskeyTube wrong or right? Sometimes the answer is both. So, senses, glass A. Loved it. It has a place. Like, do I want that in the dead of summer? I don't think so. I do actually think, I take that back. I'm starting to run through it. That would actually be dynamite with a cigar. So maybe you would want this in the summer. Is this a cigar blend? I don't know. Now I'm kind of hyping myself up. Okay, I'm gonna go 80. I think it's close to the good stuff. Borderline great. I think that the experience of what it is really impressive. 80 may be on the low side. Maybe I'm being a little, oh no. Reel it in, 80, sticking with 80. Now, glass B. You could argue the same thing. I feel like it did have some of the same tasting notes that we talked about. One white grape, one red grape, both kind of that Luxardo. I think the thinness would struggle with a cigar, but you could. I mean, how bad of a day could you be having glass B with a cigar? That being said, I prefer a little more meat on the bones. Even if I feel like it's gonna be a lower proof, we'll go 74. Some people say, I mean, like 74, if you brought that home on a test, not that great. If you throw it into, hey, this is a good stuff category, feels a little better. So sleep fine, glass B, you're in the good stuff. And that, I feel like, means something. Now, bang for the buck, something unique to the channel. Everybody scores. Not everybody has this algorithm, because we made it up. So we do a bang for the buck to where we're like, hey, what's this cost? Is it $70? Did I get my $70? Would I pay more? Would I pay less? Am I disappointed in myself? Maybe, but here we are. So on my reveal, I can tell you what the battle number is, because some people, you know, like the old baseball, paper things where you're like, hey, he made it to second. Some of you are out there doing that, and I respect it. So this one, 123. Joke's on you, some of these shuffle as well. 123. We got $70 for glass A and $100 for glass B. How is something that thin $100? Man, like, now things have changed. All right, well, we gotta score glass A first, because that's how the alphabet goes. I will make the rules. Glass A, the experience is fantastic. Pretty pumped. My example of $70, which I thought was generic enough, is now here. I would pay more, not much, but I for sure got my $70 worth. So we'll go just a nice 73. That is the oiliest bottle I've maybe ever had at this point. And I'm kind of here for it right now. The cigar trail is hyping me up a little bit to where, yeah, you can convince me to pay 85. Yeah, could see that. Then we said glass B, $100. For $100, I need a little more meat. I don't need, if I've had a more viscous 100 proof. I need more of that. So that thinness, I feel like, really pulls it back. 55. Like I wouldn't pay more than 100, and I don't even know if I got my 100 worth. I really enjoy what's on the tongue, but when you're talking bang for the buck, I maybe got my 100. Probably not. I'm not excited enough about it. I didn't. Now, we can see one that surprised and which one kind of let down. I'm kind of curious. So for the bottle reveal, we got our click. The Sagamore Spirit Rye Pedro. I'm hoping it's Jimenez because I feel like I'm going to have to say this a lot. I don't understand why there's an X in his name. Pedro Jimenez Sherry Finish, 106 proof. I've been on record. I feel like that 107, 110, to be fair of what I've said, is a fantastic proof. I feel like you get a ton of flavor with not a lot of heat, and you can pull out a lot of notes. I don't know if I pulled out a lot of notes at this point, but I feel like I experienced a lot of tasting notes. And then we did the Joseph Magnus, the 100 proof. What is this finished in? Oloroso, Sherry, Pedro, hopefully Jimenez, Sherry, and Cognac. So both Sherry finished, but a little more going on the Magnus side. So when you talk about the finishing process, we won't go into the science because we got to wrap this thing up. But ultimately, I could see how they're saying $100. I mean, you're still dropping $100 regardless of the process, and I just feel like it's a little thin. That being said, that Sagamore, now that you kind of connect those dots and that spiced kind of cranberry that we kind of walked through, is it a midwinter copycat? Not that I can remember, but you could convince me that that's a Christmas pour along with a cigar pour. And what a day you would have on Christmas Day with that pour. So try that out, and we'll see what happens. And we'll fit in one last like and subscribe, since I'm sure you all are still here.